Kind of a dreary day today. Fall is just around the corner, and I'm here for it. So's Ellie. She's here for it too. So welcome back to the foundry. I thought today we'd get back on the Clark project. It's been in here waiting on us. And so where we left off, we just completed the left side final and brake. But before I put it back on, I think what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get underneath this thing and change the pan gasket. So, oh man, it's going to be great fun. All right, here's what we're dealing with. This is the part of the job that I have been absolutely dreading, just because it's so nasty. It's just pure grease monkey work, but I'm going to have to clean this mess and try to pull the pan without just destroying the cleanliness of the work area, which is probably a pipe drain. But I don't know how much fluid is left in this thing, probably a sizable amount. So, and it's good, clean, fairly new fluid, because I was having to put a gallon in it every time I used it. But the drain plug is here. Thankfully, it does have a drain plug. So I've got a pan. My creeper's so broke down. I got a pan here that I've cleaned up. I'm going to try to capture the clean fluid and reuse as much as I can, because it's new fluid and it's like very expensive. So I'm going to do this, and you guys can just kind of hang out and chill while I get filthy. I've made some progress cleaning, as you can see by the tons of dirt that's under this thing. I've also put some more cribbing under it to appease the safety Karens, but they got a point. Nobody wants a forklift falling on them. These are deceptively heavy. This thing's not any bigger than my four-wheeler, but it weighs about 10 times as much. One thing I found that's kind of funny, I don't know if it'll come across here, but this brake chamber and final is so full of ATF, it is literally running out next to the wheel cylinder. So I'll have to drain that before I pull this side. But let me show you what I've got going on under here. That's decidedly more clean. It's not what I'd call clean. I'm not going to eat off of it, but it's very clean compared to what it was. So I'm going to clean this mess up and then get my clean pan under there, see if we can catch the fluid. I would rather it not shoot all the way over the cross member and into the pan, because that's just going to carry a bunch of dirt. I don't know. We're just going to play it by ear. Do the best we can. A little bit of moisture in the bottom. Probably condensation. And if it fills this drain pan up, I'm going to have to shove this plug back in it before we have a super fun situation going on here. There's definitely condensation in the pan. I'm going to go ahead and empty this pan while it's easy to handle before it gets too full, but it seemed to me like that was about all of it, or the biggest part of it anyway. I've let this sit a while in hopes that little bit of moisture that came out has dropped to the bottom of this pan. I'm going to skim off the top, because this is like brand new fluid. And I still may not use it again. I don't know. Like I said, we're going to play it by ear, but I'm going to try to get it in this jug regardless. I'm going to leave the rest of this and run it through my waste oil heater. But you can see that sludge down there. That is moisture infused, possibly metal debris. Yeah, that's some metal debris. Now, if I were a betting man, I would bet two things. One, I bet this pan hadn't been off in 54 years. And the other thing is, I bet it's full of sludge. Probably should have left a bolt in it so it doesn't slam to the floor and throws fluid and sludge everywhere, but maybe I can hold it. No, not even close. That doesn't look too bad, actually. So presumably this screen is sandwiched between two gaskets, not stuck to the transmission case. I mean, it's really stuck. So I'm going to try to carefully work it off of here without destroying it. Because I don't have another one. But man, that thing is stuck on there. I'm going to have my work cut out for me, probably cleaning that gasket surface. I really hate this kind of stuff. And there's not a lot of room to work under here. There we go. Huh, that's very interesting how this works. And there's not near, I mean, there's a little sludge in the pan. I'll show you in a second. Some old RTV or something, it looks like. So there was definitely some condensation and quite a bit of sludge in this pan. Now that I'm getting it off and looking at it good, I'm really glad I decided to go ahead and pull it. Still, I mean, the jury was out as to whether the gasket itself was leaking. I think it was leaking across here because that's where it was kind of pooled up down there, but that could have been running down from the pump seal. You know, I'm really not sure, but I do know this needs to be cleaned up quite a bit. And our screen, there's not a lot of hard debris. The sludge is expected, being how it's been very likely 54 years of use. The service manual says that after the first 500 hours, you're supposed to pull the pan and clean the filter. Most people don't do that, so it's anybody's guess if that was done or not. But then it says after that, it's lifetime. You're not supposed to mess with it again. The actual filter is a spin-on cartridge mounted externally, so there's really no reason to take the pan off if you're not having any problems. This side was up toward the transmission itself. There's some larger pieces of debris. It looks like some bronze particles that could have been from, you know, when it was new, running all the specks of crap through it and everything. But yeah, so the gasket here, the good news is it stayed with the screen instead of staying up on the transmission, because that would have put me on my back for who knows how long trying to get that gasket off. This gasket is just hard as a rock, and it is stuck. I mean, it is married to the screen. So I got to find a way to divorce these two. And yeah, so I got my work cut out for me. Boom. Got them pretty clean here after a pile of razor blades, broken razor blades, and my Blue Point scraper. Got the surfaces pretty darn clean. Also got me between the gaskets, the brakes, and the cleaning solvents, I got my diet of asbestos and benzene. So we're all good there. And I managed to get my thumb there pretty good. That's just part of the deal. But I'm glad to have only castrated one extremity in the ordeal. So I'll get the pan back on and then we'll stab the final drive. And if you guys would, before I go back in with the final drive, remind me to hit all of these grease fittings with a grease gun. I mean, who knows the last time some of this stuff was greased. So we need to do it now while it's easy to access. Thought I'd show you something here that's a little bit ridiculous. So when you're dealing or working on old equipment, oftentimes you're going to be dealing with reproduction parts, and in the case of gaskets, a lot of times they won't fit. So what I've had to do here is I took an ink pen and just kind of marked how I need to elongate these holes to make this gasket fit. Then I take this knife and elongate the holes. Now the way I laid it out, I'm doing the elongating on the side opposite where the fluid's going to be. Fluid's in here, so I elongated out here because that makes that gasket pretty thin right there, and I don't want to subject myself to leaks because that would defeat the entire purpose of this endeavor. Got the pan back on. It was not fun due to the fact that the gasket didn't match our bolt holes, but I'm reasonably confident that it's not going to leak. So now we're pretty much ready to stab the final drive. Interesting note here, there's no gasket between the final or brake housing and the axle housing. This is just a machined surface. So it's one less thing we have to worry about. Now this is our wheel cylinder. To keep junk from falling in our new cylinder, I'm going to install this little plug here during the installation process to keep that clean. So now I just have to manhandle it. Almost forgot to hit those grease fittings because nobody reminded me. Epic fail, guys. Hit the like button and redeem yourselves. All right, left side is repaired and back together. Got our pan back on. Everything's greased on this side. So next I'm going to go ahead and knock out the other side. I'm not going to bore you with that. If you want to see how all that's done, check out the first video in this series. And then we'll bleed the brakes and see if we can get this thing to run. All right, I got this side done. There were no surprises, so that was really good news. Got the brake line hooked back up, and now we're ready to bleed the brakes. So the master cylinder is right inside the frame here. I don't think we can see it from up here. The cap is plastic, so it doesn't require a big wrench. So I'm gonna remove the cap and fill our reservoir. It's empty. And I think I put I'm not positive, but I either put a master cylinder on this thing when I bought it, or it had just had one on it. Oh, it's still full. Okay, so I didn't actually lose much brake fluid. Can't hardly see down in there. So anyway, how I'm going to do this, keep a good full bottle of fluid up here to make sure my reservoir stays full. And a little trick I learned through years of just having a shop and working on stuff, I like to take and loosen the bleeder, the furthest one. You always start furthest from the master cylinder, ideally. And I like to take a clear piece of hose and put it on that bleeder, and it needs to be airtight, so a good tight fit. Then I'll run that hose down into another bottle of fluid, and this could even be used fluid. In fact, in this case, I think it is from bleed-offs. But the idea here is to keep this end of the hose submerged, so once I begin pumping the pedal, I'm going to wait till I see fluid come out of here, and it'll purge this whole line of all the air, and until I've got good clean fluid here without any bubbles. And this is really a good way to bleed something if you're by yourself. I've spent most of my life working by myself, so it's one of the reasons I kind of started doing this. So I did that a little bit, and while I did get fluid out here to my wheel cylinders, the problem I was having was the threads on the bleeder screw. The second you crack this bleeder, it's just floppy in there. It's like not tight at all, and that's not what you want, because then it was pulling air through the threads and it was just defeating the purpose of my one-man bleeding setup. So what I did is I pulled the bleeder screw. I used some Teflon tape on the threads, careful not to cover the port, and that tightened up the bleeder to where I'm no longer sucking air in to the wheel cylinder. And while I was over there getting the Teflon tape, I remembered a tool that I probably haven't used in 10 years, but this is a one-man bleeder setup, and it works really good. So the hose is actually still clear, unlike what I had before. So I decided to grab it and give it a shot, and it's working real good. So I'll get up there and pump it, and we'll watch the air bubbles until they disappear. And now I'm doing the other side, and on the very last pump, I like to hold the pedal down. Since I can't accomplish that by myself, I employed this old ball peen hammer, wedged it in there, and now I'll close the bleeder. And this is just to ensure that there's no air being drawn into the system when I let that pedal up. All right, yesterday I'm pretty sure I got every last bubble of air out of the brakes. So now all I got to do is toss the wheels back on, let it down, and fill up the transmission. Then we'll see if this thing will run. These little red seal engines are just amazing. This thing has sat here for like 3 years, and with a little choke, boy, it just fired right up. So I got the transmission topped off, and we've got reverse, we got forward. We also have something I really don't like to see here. Went to pick up the forks, and this is just gushing oil. It seems to have let up. It may have just gotten dry. Let's pick it up and see what it does. Have to get around front there when I get it picked up. The carriage is holding now. First time I picked it up, as soon as I let off the lever, it started creeping back down and blowing all kinds of fluid out. It's obviously leaking, but it seems to have let up. I'm going to clean all this up and see just how bad it is, but first I want to jump on here and make sure I do in fact have all the gears. Tilt's working good. All right, see if we have brakes. Seem to have brakes. Oh yeah, we got brakes. There's reverse, forward. Now we need to check for leaks. Oh yeah, we got pretty decent brakes. I know the cylinder's leaking hydraulic fluid, but are we leaking any ATF? That's the question. I don't know what that is over there. What is that, water? A little brake fluid leaking out from when I bled it. It's leaking out of the brake housing. So I think the source of my water is a bad gasket on the radiator cap. I topped it off with antifreeze the other day and noticed the gasket on the radiator cap was about torn halfway around. So I think it's allowing the water to come out the overflow tube, and it's running out down there on the ground. So I had to pick up a new radiator cap. But we're not overheating or anything. It looks like we're at about 180, 175. And so that's pretty good. The main thing now, I guess, we've got a bad hydraulic seal right here, so it may be time to repack this cylinder. It's kind of a complex cylinder to deal with. It telescopes out at both ends. So, you know, I'm really not looking forward to that, but it's not too bad to get to at least. All right, I parked it on some diapers so I can keep tabs on exactly what kind of fluids are leaking out of this thing, if any. The main thing, of course, I'm looking for any ATF, and I don't see any sign of it, which is already a huge improvement over what it was. Now, the torque converter and pump seal area, I wouldn't be surprised if I get a little leakage from that, but I can handle a little drip here and there. What I can't handle is it pouring fluid out like it was, and of course like the hydraulic seal is. So I guess this will kind of be the next thing. I may do a video on that too. I really didn't anticipate this turning into such a big series. What, I think we're at 3-4 videos, something like that. But anyway, other than the hydraulic seal, I think all it needs is cleaning up, a good bath, and who knows, I might get nuts, go full bore, and put a new seat on this thing. So overall, I'm pretty happy. I got no transmission leaks as of yet, no axle leaks. I got good brakes. So I'm that much closer to getting the old girl back in service. And with that, I'm gonna wrap this one up right here. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you in the next one. Oh yeah, we got no leaks under there. That is fantastic. Before, I'd come out here and it looked like somebody was just murdered. I mean, it was just all red.